Well, good evening, conference. It's wonderful to see so many of you here in the beautiful city of York for this evening's conference. But I have to start with some shocking news. Conference, the head office and the conference organisers forbid me from walking on, singing a song of my own composition about my terrible sleeping issues. Liberal Democrats were just going to have to wait a little bit longer for our own answer to Andrea Jenkins. Possibly forever, because the conference committee will always have your health and safety at the forefront of their minds. So we've got a very, very exciting conference lined up for you this evening, and I am afraid I'm just going to have to ask the auto cue people to put it on the screen so that I can remind you what it is. Thank you very much. So as you would expect, we've got an absolutely packed agenda for you this weekend, with motions on everything from keeping the right to trial by jury through to whole person mental health via our vision for high streets and universities. Our fringe offerings have the usual wide-ranging à la carte menu of deep debate and socialising opportunities for you to pick and choose from. And while I'm gutted, I'm afraid there's no disco this weekend. At least there is the Lib Dem quiz and even Glee Club for those of you that enjoy it. We also have a huge selection of training opportunities that I would highly encourage you to make the most of while you're here, from how we're tackling the rise of reform to more effective campaigning. And as if that isn't enough, we have speeches from Anna Sabine, James McCleary and Peter Taylor, all closing on Sunday with a fantastic speech from Ed Davey. Now, since we met last March in Harrogate, we've had a hugely successful year. We beat the Conservatives and Labour at the local elections for the first time ever. We've won more council by-elections than any other party during the course of 2025. So, during this evening's rally, you will probably hear lots about how you can help us to do even better this May, because that's what we want to do. Who knows, you might even be encouraged to deliver more leaflets and knock on more doors. But it's more important than ever that there is an alternative party for Britain to tackle the huge issues that we face, not with slogans or facile solutions on the far left or the far right, but with real solutions that will transform people's lives, and that's where we come in. As our party's health spokesperson, I see the impact that the crisis in our NHS has on people up and down the country. The ambulance that didn't come, the diagnosis that came too late, and the 36-hour wait on a hospital corridor. Only the Liberal Democrats have challenged Labour with sensible solutions, fully funded, to help resolve this crisis. And only our party leader, Ed Davey, has constantly and consistently raised the crisis in social care, so badly neglected by the other parties. And that's why I'm proud we are the ones putting forward the bold policies needed to solve our country's problems. It's true in every part of government, and it's why we must work harder than ever to keep on winning. So what have we got to inspire you to do all that this evening? Well, finishing up, we've got the President. No, not the orange one, don't panic. Our very own, truly brilliant Josh Babarinde. Before that, Luke Taylor will be telling us all about the huge opportunity we have in the London elections this year. Now, some say she's the Queen of the North, but this evening she's doing her best Graham Norton impression. Lisa Smart is in conversation with Al Pinkerton and Victoria Collins. But But before we start in earnest, there's an important tradition, and I'm speaking on behalf of my Scottish colleagues and friends. And that's the question of whether or not this is really in the north. Now, as a proud Midland mashup who can see the Welsh border from a kitchen window, my perspective's a little bit different on all that. I suggest the question we should be asking at the beginning of every conference is, would we prefer to be in Shropshire? And I'm sure the answer would be a resounding yes. Especially from all of those here living with the effects of frostbite following the campaign in December 2021. But to explain to you why this beautiful county of Yorkshire is second only to Shropshire in the fabulous English Counties League, we have the brilliant MP for Harrogate and Knaresborough, Mr. Tom Gordon.
Good evening, conference. I'm Tom Gordon, and I am the Liberal Democrat MP for Harrogate and Knaresborough. And I have to say, saying that never gets old. Well, what a conference we've got ahead of us tonight and across this weekend. Now, I hate to typecast myself, but I'm probably best known for two things in Parliament. The first being Westminster's biggest Swiftie, Taylor Swift, everyone. And second, as many of you will know, I have the enormous honour and the occasional logistical nightmare of being Yorkshire's only Liberal Democrat MP. Which means I spend a lot of time explaining some very simple things to colleagues down in Westminster. Namely, that Yorkshire is objectively the best place in our wonderful country. From the cities to the countryside, the people, and most importantly to me, the food. And I'm not just talking about my mum's cracking Yorkshire puddings and roast dinners that she puts on for Liberal Democrats at her Wakefield Action Days, although I must say that the attendance has noticeably increased whenever she's cooking. But tonight I'm going to bring to you my guide to Yorkshire. So, I should warn you, it's not simply possible to package the entirety of God's own county into about half a dozen slides, but here's my best attempt, so bear with me. And here's a few things that you should check out across the weekend if you manage to get any free time at all, with a particular focus, like I say, on something Yorkshire does exceptionally well, proper food. So first up, we have Betty's in York. About a 10-minute walk from here, and if you head down there tomorrow morning, you'll notice something really reassuring, that a queue stretching as far as the eye can see, come rain or shine, because Betty's isn't just a cafe, it's a Yorkshire institution, and a proud Harrogate one. And if you want to understand Yorkshire culture, you have to start with two things. A pot of tea, preferably Yorkshire, and a fat rascal. Has anyone here had a fat rascal before? Oh, good, we've got some people in the house, but I can see lots of hands that didn't go up. So actually, I've got a few here with me tonight. This is now me doing my best Oprah moment. So, Ollie, come on up, Ollie Glover, if you can hand out some of these fat rascals. Who's not had a fat rascal before? There we go, there you go. I think might have seen the deputy leader with a hand up in the front there. So, yeah, so you get a fat rascal, you get a fat rascal. Now, for those who haven't encountered a fat rascal, essentially, it's a scone or a scone, but let's not get into that. The pronunciation doesn't matter, but it's been designed by someone who thinks that moderation is deeply un-Yorkshire. Next up, we've got the Scrap Box in Dunnington, just outside York. It was recently crowned Takeaway of the Year at the National Fish and Chip Awards, which is Yorkshire's culinary equivalent to winning the Champions League, or someone who understands football told me that. If you do make the trip out there, you'll also find yourself in the constituency of York Outer, so you should make sure you get in touch and help out our brilliant Liberal Democrat candidate selected for the next general election, Andrew Hollier. Grab yourself some fish and chips, deliver a few leaflets, and prove that two great Yorkshire institutions that are excellent food and also beating Labour as well. Next stop, Harrogate, my home patch. And of course, that means another pilgrimage to Betty's. I'm afraid no more fat rascals this time, but this is the original OG cafe. And some people have asked me, Tom, isn't it a little bit excessive to keep including Betty's multiple times on the same tour of Yorkshire? To which I say, clearly you've not been there. Besides, as Liberal Democrats, don't we believe in fair representation? So Betty's definitely deserves a number of spots on this itinerary. Next up, Marigold's Cafe. Now, if you mention Harrogate, you must absolutely mention Knaresborough. Trust me, if you don't, you will learn that lesson very quickly. And just under 30 minutes away by train, you'll find the stunning Nid Gorge, with boating along the river, one of the best views in Yorkshire. Heck, in fact, the country. And sitting right there by the water is Marigold's Cafe, which does an absolutely smashing breakfast. In fact, some of you might recognise that spot because it was a location for last year's leaders' arrival at conference in Harrogate. Next up, we've got RHS Harlow Car over in Harrogate too. So not too far away, but just enough for me to remind you that Harrogate is fantastic. And it's long been a famous spa town, and it's also a flower town too. And nowhere shows that better than Harlow Car and the beautiful gardens there, the incredible planting, and a really peaceful place to wander around. And of course, there is another Betty's there. There seems to be a bit of a running theme here, doesn't there? Which is that in Yorkshire, we believe that every good tourist attraction should be within walking distance of excellent baked goods. Frankly, if Cabinet had meetings held up here instead of Westminster, British politics would probably be in a much better state. And finally, if you're heading home on Sunday and you end up anywhere in deepest, darkest South Yorkshire near Sheffield, you must absolutely stop by Our Cow Molly. It's an incredible farm shop making some of the best homemade ice cream in Yorkshire. And while you're out there, you can also help our fantastic Liberal Democrat candidate for the next general election, Sophie Crossthorne in Sheffield Hallam. Because I have to say, as much as I love being Yorkshire's only Liberal Democrat MP, by the time of the next general election, I don't want to be the only one. So that's my very brief introduction into Yorkshire for you. The scenery, the food, and the communities that we're fighting for every day. But before I do finish, I have one small request for Federal Conference Committee. Now, as much as I love York, please consider bringing conference back to Harrogate again soon. Not just because it's a fantastic venue and in a Lib Dem constituency, but because as a tight Yorkshireman, I love having to save a fortune on travel and accommodation, and having it on my doorstep really does help. And besides, conference in Harrogate means something very important to everyone in this audience too. Rather than just the one Betty's here in York, there are the two in Harrogate. Double your options. Now, to welcome our wonderful Queen of the North, please put your hands together for Lisa Smart.
Good evening, conference. Hello, hello. It is very good to be back in another excellent northern city on the rally stage. I mean, it's not Stockport, but as Tom says, it's a pretty good part of the world, this. And tonight, I am going to take you behind the nerdy scenes of some of the quirks of parliamentary proceedings. We're going to demystify some of the voting in the House of Commons because we are exciting, cool people. Oh yes, oh yes, oh yes. But first, let's hear from some of my parliamentary colleagues about some of the work they've been doing and what they've been getting up to.
I'm really proud to secure £1 billion contract for Leonardo in my constituency.
I have been pushing both governments, Conservative and Labour, for a number of years now to make court transcripts free to all victims of sexual assault, and I'm really proud that this year the government have agreed to make free copies of judges' sentencing remarks available to all victims.
Through the Select Committee, we've made a difference at a national level. We were an important part of shifting the dial, persuading the government to change their mind on inheritance tax for farmers, but also at a local level, working with Mike Martin, the great MP for Tunbridge Wells, making sure that his community were given answers for the disgraceful treatment that was handed out to them by South East Water. Locally or nationally, making a difference, that's what Liberal Democrats do.
We stood up for local councils and local democracy and defeated the Labour government's plans to give power to the Secretary of State to call in any planning application he wanted and make a decision on any planning application he wanted, erasing the power of local councils. We stopped that.
Really pleased that recently the Minister for Flood and Water came to visit me in my constituency down in Langport to see the devastating impact of the winter storms. As a result of her visit, she's committed to looking at the consultation for main river drainage and also installation of permanent infrastructure to make sure that we can pump that water away from the Somerset Levels and Moors out to sea.
Celebrating my 1 year in the House of Lords, I've been working alongside my colleagues to defend the right to protest. I've also been working with looked after young people to ensure that they have training, work and employment opportunities.
It's an incredible honour to be a chair of this incredible committee. The Health and Social Care Committee holds Wes and his team to account every single day, but what I try and do is bring liberal values to the heart of our work. Our very first report was on social care, the cost of inaction, right off the back of that election, where we made it a priority, and now it's a priority for the government. But one of the pieces of work I'm most proud of is mental health. Really affects me, something our party's spoken about for so many years, and we've been really trying to push that. So this committee, an incredible opportunity, making change in this Parliament right here, right now.
What a team, right? And they are there because we won some elections, because you knocked on doors, because you delivered leaflets. They got to get stuff done. And as Liberal Democrats, we quite like winning. And back in December, we won a vote in the House of Commons in a nail-biting bit of parliamentary history. And to talk more about that magical moment and some of the stuff that's happened in Parliament since, I want you to join me in welcoming the wonderful Dr. Al Pinkerton and the resplendent Victoria Collins. Now, if we're channeling Graham Norton, there is not quite enough wine here, so I think if Conference Committee could see to that next time, we will sort that. Al, you were the mover of the 10-minute rule motion on the EU Customs Union. How did that come to be?
Well, it's amazing, isn't it, to see what our colleagues can achieve in that video that we've just seen. But in terms of Parliament, it can sometimes be really hard as a Lib Dem to get things through the chamber because of the sheer arithmetic of the way the House divides. But occasionally we get our hands on a lever, something like a 10-minute rule bill, to try and introduce something of our own. And the way that we do it, we have to pitch ideas to our entire parliamentary party. That's fraught with peril. I'm delighted to say that my colleagues put faith in this idea that I had to try and bring forward a customs union. And they voted, and we decided that we were going to go for it. But even that is not straightforward because, like so many things in Parliament, it is fraught with quirk and eccentricity. And you can literally have your right to put your bill in front of Parliament stolen from underneath you if you don't get to the Public Bill Office at a certain time on a certain morning. So as you can probably imagine, on that fateful morning, I was pacing up and down the corridor like a caged animal, ready so that nobody could get there in advance. And thankfully, I got the piece of paper in my hand and I got to introduce the bill.
Fantastic. So that meant you had 10 uninterrupted minutes of chamber time to introduce your bill. What happened then?
So, gave the speech, made a really powerful case, I hope, for a customs union. Now, the reason we wanted to do this, Lisa, as you well know, is that what we fundamentally wanted to do is to put the issue of Europe back on the parliamentary agenda. Because people hadn't been talking about it, yeah? We needed Europe back on the agenda. A customs union is not the start, nor is it the end of our ambition, but we figured that it might be something that just maybe, if a forceful enough argument could be made, that we might just about be able to get a majority of people in the House to support.
And the Tories spoke against it.
Yes, an MP called Simon Hoare spoke against me, which was rather like being kind of licked by a Cocker Spaniel for about 10 minutes. Posh dog. And he didn't give me a hard time, I have to say, and it was great. But it was absolutely a nail-biter.
So I was listening to a speech by the wonderful Jess Brown-Fuller on water supply issues in Westminster Hall. Jess had to stop mid-speech when the bell rang at a time of the day where we don't normally vote. We all traipsed off to vote. We came back. Jess recommenced her magnificence on water supply issues, and then the result came up on the Annunciator. A noise went round the Westminster Hall debating chamber because we weren't sure what that meant. Let's look at what it looked like in the chamber.
The ayes to the right, 100. The noes to the left, 100. Order. The ayes to the right were 100. The noes to the left, 100. In accordance with precedent, I will cast the casting vote aye to allow further debate. The ayes have it. The ayes have it.
Put that in a bar chart.
So we were all somewhat delighted, because it isn't very often that Liberal Democrats win votes in the House of Commons in this Parliament.
Yeah.
Let's see what happens next Parliament. But Al, I think you had a conversation with Madam Deputy Speaker after she had cast her vote.
I did. In moments like that, what you have to go and do is you go and have a little word with the Speaker at the end, and she leant over to me. And I can't fully tell you what she said, but I just wanted to let you know she was very happy that the only vote, in all likelihood, that she will be able to cast in this entire Parliament was in the way that she was able to cast it. Her father had actually been an MEP, and so she was absolutely thrilled to be able to support us. But here's the bigger thing. About 2 weeks later, I was at the Speaker's Christmas party, and Wes Streeting came up to me, and he said, "I hear that we're joining a customs union." And I said, "I hear a future ambitious Labour leader might like to show a bit of ankle and take this policy on for himself." And 2 days later, it was in the newspapers. So that's how you can affect change.
So we've had some other fun, haven't we, Victoria, when it comes to 10-minute rule motions, and led by our glorious and dear leader from the front benches, but you and I had a bit of social media coverage, didn't we, when Mr. Farage wanted to do something?
Yes, I will say I have slight twitches watching the 10-minute rule bills, as it brings back certain memories. But yes, so that was quite fun.
Nige wanted to take us out of the ECHR, and I remember very clearly walking into the chamber with you, and how does the seating arrangement work for things like 10-minute rule bills, Victoria?
Well, so for me that day seemed to go very slowly, those few moments. So most of you may know there's not enough room for us all in the chamber. And obviously it's something about Europe. So as Lib Dems, we wanted to cram in and stand up for Europe. So there are several benches at the front that are kept for us as Liberal Democrats. There's a half a row where Nigel Farage has the right to stand, especially when he's doing his 10-minute rule bill. But then there's a bit at the back as well, that back bench, that is also kind of a free-for-all, I believe. So me and Lisa going together. It's the first day as well. I'm wearing my bright pink suit. And she says, "Where do you want to sit? Behind or in front of Farage?" I was like, "Do you know what? Let's go behind." And then as I walked up and then kind of we squeezed into the back, it all seemed to go very slowly as I sat down and realised that I was right behind Farage, right in that point where the camera probably would be. And I thought, do you know what? It's really important that I keep a neutral face.
How did that go?
Yeah. I think I nailed it.
I think since then, people have actively sought us out as poker players to try and fleece us, I think. What's it like to be a meme?
Well, I mean, that's the thing, that as I walked into the Whip's office afterwards, someone said to me, "I want to play poker with you, because I will definitely win." But the thing was, I thought, okay, right, as I started to get messages, screenshots, realised I was becoming a meme, later that day, I had a meeting with my team, and I was like, okay, messaged them and said, "Look, I've got something to tell you." And I came into that meeting, I said, right, there'll be probably a few emails, a few messages about me being on behind Farage, but I'll tell you what, judge me by my enemies, is what I said.
And did he take losing graciously?
Oh, no. And that's the thing. So Farage, you know, this kind of strongman exterior, he can't handle us as Liberal Democrats. He was rattled. A lot of people like Al, he was able to keep his speech. He was staying strong. Farage, he got absolutely rattled by us. But that is our job as Liberal Democrats, is to take on Farage and beat him. And that's what we keep doing and win those votes. So I'm very proud that we rattled Farage.
Absolutely. And I think so Farage gave his 10 minutes speech. A number of us expressed how we felt about it through our faces, because freedom of expression is important. He was remarkably rattled, and I was genuinely surprised how much he let it show how rattled he was. Our fearless leader gave a stonking speech, 10-minute speech, and we won the vote. And Farage didn't like it at all. And that was a good day in the office, colleagues, wasn't it? It really, really was. Thank you, Al and Victoria. Now, colleagues, we've got campaign season in full swing, and so it's time to talk about my favourite topic, elections. Please welcome onto the stage a man that frankly never stops droning on about London. London, 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 Luke Taylor.
Thank you, I think. Good evening, conference. It is absolutely brilliant to be here with you tonight. Now, some of you might be aware, we've got elections coming in May. Not just councils across the country, but devolved parliaments in Scotland and in Wales. So let's meet some of the fantastic activists who've been knocking on doors and delivering leaflets for us up and down the nation.
Hello, I'm Alison Bennett. I'm the MP for Mid Sussex, and I'm out with the amazing Lauren, who's going to be our candidate in Cookfield and Lucasties, and David, who's one of our key activists, and we're fighting to get Lib Dems elected right across West Sussex County Council.
Hi, I'm Ajanta.
Hi, my name's Rafi.
And we're out canvassing in St Stephen area.
In St Albans.
This is for the Lib Dems. Good luck, everyone.
Good luck.
Hi folks, hope you're having a good conference. It's David Green, your candidate for Caithness, Sutherland and Ross, and I am campaigning in Wick. You can see the harbour behind me.
Here we are in Yateley in Hampshire, in the North East Hampshire constituency, and I'm joined by Richard, Michael, Erica and Penny. It's going to be a great day.
Hi. I'm Rebecca, this is Kate. We're two of the candidates in St Mary's, St James and Islington, London. We're campaigning to get Lib Dems back on Islington Council for the first time since 2014.
We are the dancing Lib Dem candidates from Queen's Park Ward.
Woo! We are out in the Witterings today, canvassing to get the Tory County Councillor out and the wonderful Isabella in.
I'm Karen.
I'm Liam. I'm Julian. And we're here in Englefield Green and Virginia Water. We've got fantastic support. Please come and help us. We've got lots of stakeboards up.
So it's Team Southwark reporting from Rotherhithe with Josh Babarinde, party president. What is it?
It's a conference day!
Hi, I'm Josie. I'm canvassing in Clarence Ward in St Albans. A bit chilly. Canvassing with Anthony Rowlands, who's just down there.
We're the Tolworth Ward Liberal Democrat councillors and candidates. We're a diverse team reflecting our community. Out knocking on doors, listening to residents, getting things done, and having fun along the way.
Okay, let's give them all a huge round of applause. Okay, now, as our spokesperson for London, I have travelled all this way beyond the M25 to tell you all of the latest news on our Liberal Democrat campaign in Birmingham. Hold on a second. Are we doing... Okay, fine. Okay, Birmingham! Okay, so the Labour Council in Birmingham have failed to deliver for people across that city, as they have for people up and down our country. Their time running the council is up. Our colleagues over there are working incredibly hard, knocking on doors and delivering leaflets. So if you can spare a hand, please get to Birmingham sometime between now and the 7th of May and help them speak to more residents and deliver more leaflets so that they can turn swathes of the city gold and kick Labour to the curb. OK, done that. Back to London. So, as you know, I am the Liberal Democrat MP for Sutton and Cheam in South West. Sorry, Josh, is that you? Can you turn that off, please? Oh. Oh, hold on a minute. Oh, shit, it's the Chief Whip. Sorry. I'll be right back.
Hello? Who is it? I'm kind of doing something.
Hi, look, it's Wendy, and can't be at conference because, as you know, I'm knocking on doors in North East 5.
Oh, yeah, OK, but I'm kind of doing a thing. Can I...
Well, I know it's the rally tonight. Hopefully you've not gone on stage yet, because I really need to tell you about the Scottish elections in May.
Yeah, kind of about that. I'm into it, but yeah, go on. What's going on?
It's really important to know about the elections in May. We've got a real opportunity to make the same kind of gains as we did in 2024 at the general election. The election in Scotland is looking really, really good for us.
OK, right, and maybe, I'm guessing it's about leaflets and knocking on doors and talk to residents, something like that?
It is, but we've got amazing candidates in many constituencies in Scotland, but we've also got the regional list. It's proportional representation. What is not to love for the Liberal Democrats?
OK, proportional representation. I've heard of that. I'll mention something. I'm going to have to go, Wendy. Sorry. Good luck.
I know you have to go, but I think it's really important that members understand that no matter where you are in Scotland, you can vote for a Liberal Democrat MSP, and any help that we can get with that in the last few weeks would be amazing.
OK, lots of help. MPs, MSPs everywhere. I'll talk about it. Fine. Thank you, Wendy. Good luck. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye.
OK. That was the Chief Whip. You don't turn down a phone call from the Chief Whip. So sorry, Wendy can't be here tonight. She's out knocking on doors in North East 5. But she's asked me to ask you if anyone can spare a hand in Scotland, please do. We are on track for an incredible result, particularly in places like Caithness, Sutherland and Ross, and the wonderful David Green, who we saw earlier. So, right, back to the important stuff. And London.
No.
Look.
No, far more important things. I need to tell you it's about Surrey. So the Conservatives, Surrey, best place in the world, obviously. So the Conservatives really haven't got the memo. They haven't learned a single lesson. They're still insistent that they are the best thing since sliced bread. And they go on about how Liberal Democrats being local champions. And they really don't care about all the people who have suffered as a result of all the things they have left behind. So we're out in Surrey, knocking on doors, talking to people, and they're telling us that they, former Conservative voters, are switching to us, the Liberal Democrats, because they trust us. So, big plug, sorry, I will let you speak, Luke, but really important. If you are down my neck of the woods, East Surrey, West Surrey need you to come and help, knock on doors, deliver leaflets, and make sure we kick the Conservatives out of Surrey for good. Thank you. You can carry on now.
So I can go now? Yeah? Right. Okay, that's the last one. And I swear to God, if David Chadwick is hiding in the wings somewhere, fine. Please, if you can go to Wales, please do. You could even make a weekend of it. You could do a beautiful hike and deliver some leaflets along the way. But please, go up there and help get more Liberal Democrats elected to the Senate. And now, London. London is a Liberal city. And this May, we have a huge opportunity to turn it a catchy shade of Liberal Democrat orange all across our city. Only the Liberal Democrats offer the patriotic, positive and progressive vision for London, with a decade-long track record of delivering for Londoners in councils across the capital. With Labour support cratering in Merton, Southwark, Lambeth, Camden and Haringey, we have the chance to make huge gains and potentially to be the biggest party on each of those councils. In Barnet, Islington, Lewisham, Redbridge, Waltham Forest, Wandsworth, Westminster and Tower Hamlets, we have the chance to elect Liberal Democrat councillors back onto those councils that have been Liberal Democrat free for far too long. And maybe we'll have some surprises elsewhere too. Our councillors and activists in Bromley and Croydon will be fighting reform directly. and aiming to grow their council groups to provide progressive, positive voices in their civic chambers. And in Ealing, Brent, and Kensington and Chelsea, we've got a three-way tussle with Labour and the Conservatives. And it's going to be critical that we come out on top of that fight to continue to grow our council groups there, already delivering for residents. And in our three held London boroughs of Sutton, Kingston and Richmond, we can dismantle the final pieces of Conservative infrastructure to banish them to oblivion for a generation. The opportunity for huge local government gains has never been bigger, and it may not come again for decades. So please do support our teams with your time, your effort, and your money to help us grasp the chance in front of us, all across our three great nations and our incredible capital city. Now, please join me in welcoming to the stage our handsome, our sunny, our very, very presidential new President, Josh Babarinde.
Hello, lovely people. Are we enjoying this rally? I can't hear you. We're enjoying this rally. What an honour it is to step onto the conference stage for the first time as, no, not the orange-faced president, but the green-suited party president. And I just want to take this opportunity to say a massive thank you to so many of those members and activists across the party who supported my campaign up and down the country. And thank you to our President Emeritus, Lord President Mark Pack, for a fantastic handover and for his service to our party. Let's give him a round of applause. But there is much more that has changed since the last conference. Last year, we won more council by-elections than any other party. What else has changed? Well, we've selected even more of our parliamentary candidates in key seats, including, as Tom Gordon mentioned, Yorkshire's very own Sophie Crossthorne from Sheffield Hallam, who I joined on the doorsteps just a few weeks ago. We've welcomed councillors defecting from other parties, the old parties across Britain. People who looked at the Liberal Democrats and said, yes, that is where I belong. Conference, we are a party on the march. So those are some of the many things that have changed since the last conference. But the hopeless romantic I am, I wanted to share something else with you that has changed since the last conference. Something pretty personal to me. I got down on one knee in the House of Commons. I'm very pleased that Connor said yes, and there was a story around this, because you can't just go and get down on one knee to the love of your life in the House of Commons. So I asked if I could have a special meeting with the Speaker in advance to ask for his permission, and it was a bit like going and asking Connor's parents whether I could propose in the first place. And the Speaker, in fact, no Speaker has ever given such permission before. The Speaker said yes. So then we needed to choreograph the particular evening, which fell in November last year, the day after it had been announced that I had become our party president. And so I needed to enlist some logistical and moral support, a partner in crime, the legendary Jess Brown-Fuller MP helped to pull the proposal off. And so we had to organise, after the chamber was done for the day, to be empty. It was then cleaned, as it usually is. And before they let the tours go around, I had the chamber for just a few minutes to be able to pop the question. So I invited Connor onto campus and was burning time walking around and around and around Parliament with him. And as I said, it was a day after the party president vote. And there were a few people who I had told during the day I was sweating, and fellow MPs were saying, "Josh, are you okay?" And I said, "I'm about to do something quite big." And I was walking around Parliament, and people were coming up to me saying, "Oh, Josh, congratulations with Connor." And I thought, stop. And it turned out they were congratulating me on something else. It then got to the magic moment, and I didn't do a ring, I did a necklace. I hid it in the Prime Minister's dispatch box. I then went over, got the necklace. The rest is history, and we were able to commemorate the moment, not just because of the support that Jess offered me, not just because of the Speaker's permission, but because of the amazing Earl Russell, who's taking photos down there, who took photos of the moment itself. Big hand to John Russell. And then a few days later, Keir Starmer came up to me in the voting lobbies. And he said, "Oh, congratulations, Josh, this is fantastic news. By the way, I never knew that the dispatch box opened." I then had Lucy Powell stop me in the corridor last week. And Lucy looked at me, looked at Connor, and said, "And the ayes have it, the ayes have it." Anyway, Connor and I are now deep in Wedmin, and we've been thinking about what our honeymoon could look like. But, I hear you say, where do you take a guy who hails from the sunniest town in the UK? Seriously, though, we've both had a dream for some time to travel across the United States on a road trip. However, there are many buts. Aside from anything else, I'm a little worried about what might happen at the border. We've all heard that ICE are checking people's social media history before they let people in. Oh dear. Well, that's that destination out the window. But being super serious, conference, I regret nothing about this. I regret nothing about such a response to a man who dares to demean our veterans, including within our own parliamentary party. We answered America's call to put boots on the ground in Afghanistan after 9/11. We sent our forces because when your NATO ally is attacked, you stand with them. And we lost 457 brave troops in the line of duty. Now, some may think, Josh, is this really the way to be taken seriously? And to that, I say, you are not serious as a force in politics today if you are not prepared to challenge Donald Trump or stand up for our troops. You are not a serious force in British politics if, like Nigel Farage, all you can manage to say in response to Trump's appalling insult is that it was not quite fair. Is that it? And you are not a serious force in British politics if, like Kemi Badenoch just a few days ago, you critique our RAF in the Middle East for just hanging around. Now, don't take my word for it. Don't take my word for it that these kind of remarks are not serious. Take the word of a widow of one of the 457 UK troops who did not return home. She wrote to me after seeing that tweet. And she said, and I quote, "For Trump to insinuate that these incredible men and women did not give their very best is not just insulting, it is rank hypocrisy." And that is why I'm so proud of the way in which our leader, Ed Davey, has fiercely and consistently stood up to Trump, especially when the other parties have floundered and folded into submission. Populists on both the right and the left must be challenged with that kind of political bravery and boldness. As Liberal Democrats, that is our mission, to be brave and bold on Trump, because silence is not neutrality, it is betrayal. To be brave and bold on Europe, because our future and security is outward-looking, not closed shop. To be brave and bold on populism, locally and nationally, because while others trade in fear and grievance, we choose unity and hope. We are the liberal resistance of Britain conference. We are our country's last hope to fight for the soul of our country. We must meet this moment on May the 7th and beyond. Conference, we must be brave and bold. Thank you for everything that you do. Thank you.